Good morning, everyone. I'm Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer. Today, we're going to be talking about new rules for music copyright in 2021. You know, a lot has changed in the past, 2 years or so with music copyright and copyright in general on social media. And so I wanted to do a refresher, a rehash of some of the rules that have changed. Instagram rules have changed. Certainly, YouTube rules have changed. Actually, LinkedIn rules have not changed since 2014. I was going over their copyright policies yesterday, and it was so funny. I would say in 2019, I made a video about LinkedIn copyright policies and rules. And I remember looking at it and saying, gosh, the policies are dated, 2014 back in 2019. Well, they haven't changed, and it's now 2021. But the reason I decided to make this video is I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of consults about copyright, and specifically music copyright in your videos, in podcasts, a lot of podcasts, in a lot of audio clips. People are really enjoying now, whether it be Clubhouse or whether it be Facebook Rooms or whether it be just on their website, producing audio clips for people to listen to. And sometimes it's as quick as 15 seconds or 30 seconds. There's comedians out there who like to do bits of their stand-up routines and then throw it on Twitter or Facebook or whatever to be able to have people enjoy that. And they have questions. There's background music in the introduction to their walk-up to the stand-up stage. So there's lots of questions around music copyright, and I wanted to talk about it today. I'm coming to you live from my living room, so pardon the echo. It's my old living room. I'm actually moving to Scottsdale in the next week or so, Scottsdale, Arizona. And so this is going to be my sign off from the Southern California area for a little bit. And so that's why it looks kind of weird. The office that you've seen in some of the videos is no more. So that's what we're doing today. Today's going to be a little bit of a question and answer session type feel. So please feel free to put in the comments question and then colon what your question is, and we can go over that. I'm going to start off with a brief discussion about copyright in general on the social media platforms to kind of get us warmed up for the discussion. But I know you've watched probably my videos, and so you know the basics, and that is that copyright is a function of the law. It's basically a global law. Most countries in the world honor what's called a copyright, and that's ownership in the intellectual property of a creation. And that creation in social media oftentimes is video, images, or audio. And so really it's just the rules that surround that. And what is your ownership? You create this new podcast, you have a great guest on it, and you want to make sure that if you want to sell it somewhere or you want to license it for someone to use, that you can and that you have the proper rights. So when you create a podcast, when you create a video, when you record it to the hard drive on your computer or a thumb drive, that means that it's automatically copyrighted. And frankly, you don't need to do much more. And as time goes on, as we're doing more and more memes and creations on social media, copyright law kind of gets less relevant as we continue. We're looking for the future of digital copyright law coming forward, but we'll get into that another time. So you create something, it's automatically copyrighted. Now, us lawyers oftentimes encourage you to register your copyright. In America, we have copyright.gov. We have a number of different services out there that will help you get a copyright for your content. You can register up to 10 different pieces of content. And listen, it's a good idea, especially if you're going to really commercialize something that you've created. So I always recommend it, registering copyrights. It doesn't cost that much. My goodness, I think you can get one copyright for $35, which these days is a bargain. And then you can register more for 95 or 150, that kind of amount. So it's actually kind of affordable. What I see on a daily basis for me is I see photographers wanting to copyright their work because they can get big bucks for their work. If you ever put out a movie, of course, you're going to register a copyright. But the benefit of registering, of course, is you get additional rights above those that you automatically get just for creating this video or audio creation. That is a presumption in the law that it's yours. In other words, you come to court, it's registered, someone has infringed allegedly on your copyright, you come to court and you're like, listen, I got this certificate, okay? It's probably mine. So that's a good way, kind of a good way to have a presumption of that. You also get automatic admission to federal courts for copyright infringement law. So there's a number of different things you can do. Of course, there's also the ego thing. You got the certificate that you can prove, and also it makes it easy to sell. If you're selling photographs for lots of money, then it's great to have a registered copyright certificate that you can sell with that and say, just so you know, I'm selling you all these rights, and then the person who's paying the good money for it can feel confident that this is the genuine article and that he or she has received everything that you own relating to this this work of art. Then, so that's copyright. The next step is, when can you use someone else's copyright? And that happens all the time. It's what we call permission or licensing, what I call in the legal business. And basically what you do is you get permission to use it. And frankly, it's fairly simple, especially in this day and age. You have a friend who's in a band that's playing down the street and you want to use that in your video. You walk up to the friend and say, hey, friend, can I use this song in one of my videos? And she says yes. So what you do is you confirm that in writing, and it's kind of the basic protection by doing that. I would always recommend you use a licensing agreement, which you can get on iancorzine.com. I always have to work that in because license agreement really spell out the scope of the ownership or the use, how long, what parts. When does it go away? How much is the money that's going to transact? There's lots of different terms that a license can help you with, as well as different. A lot of times people want to sell portion or variants on the art they created. So there's lots of ways we can structure that on a license agreement. But again, if you're just doing simplistic terms, can I borrow the song? Yes. All right. Then you just send an email with what you want to do, what you're going to use it for, how much of it you're going to use, when you're going to use it, and hopefully get a confirmation, a reply email responding saying, listen, yeah, you can use the song. So that's permission. We can discuss a little bit more if you want about like formal permission, because a lot of you want to use like super popular music in your videos that's not licensed through the social media platform itself. And that's even more difficult, but it's the same, concept, and that is getting permission to use that. So we talked about copyright. We talked about getting formal permission to use copyrighted content. Now we move on to not getting permission and still being able to use someone else's copyrighted content. And that's where we delve into the subject of fair use. Fair use, really amazing concept in the law. My favorite concept in the law, because it really honors my number one principle, and that's free speech. It basically says, listen, there is a value to society for letting people use other people's art without their permission to build upon it. And so I'm a big supporter of free speech and a big supporter of fair use. Now, it's a complex topic, and maybe we can get into it with some of your questions. But the bottom line is that with fair use, if you transform the other person's art so much that it becomes your own, in other words, people are going to tune in for you and not the other person's art, then generally that qualifies for fair use, and you will not be found liable for copyright infringement or what we're mostly concerned about, getting our videos taken down or getting a copyright claim on our videos. So those are the essentials of copyright. And that is where we're going to play for today's live stream. I want to take a moment to say hi to everybody. And let's go to Jose, Mr. Vigilla. Hello, Ian Corzine. Happy Saturday. He's also a proponent of abolishing copyright in general. Well, I don't know. I'm a big proponent of having rights in your work of art. I really am. I think it's important for you to own it. I think in society, ownership is good. But at the same time, I also understand the concept, like I talked about, as free speech and about the ability to build upon people's art. We've seen it countless times. Some people will argue that all art is derivative. In other words, everything comes from something else. We also got Exploring Israel. I'd love to learn and understand more from your perspective as a lawyer, especially when you do analyze YouTube's laws. Okay, media in general. We'll talk about YouTube's laws. We'll talk about any of the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram. I love Instagram. Instagram's copyright is very nuanced, so we can talk about that more. We got Football Factor. Hey, what are the rules? Hey, listen, the Football Factor doesn't mess around. He's just like, dude, I got limited time. What are the rules? We can get into that. I appreciate that, Ron. Hey, Ron's here. Good to see you, Ron. Just Edie, good to see you. Just Edie, good to see you. Happy trails on your move to AZ. Appreciate it. And someday maybe you can visit. That'd be awesome to see you. We got Mr. Arjunan. How can we find out non-copyright music? Well, there's a number of different ways you can do that. The number one way I'd recommend is to find a royalty-free site and to subscribe and to use their music. That's the best way. I would find a site. I would look at the terms and conditions. And if you want to contact me at iancorzine.com, or actually it's info@iancorzine.com, I can give you some sites that have good licensing agreements for royalty-free music, but that's the number one way. The other way is Creative Commons, and I made a video about that. Check my channel for basically the whole tutorial on Creative Commons and how to use it, how to search it on YouTube and find it. That's another way to have a broader license to use in your content. And the other one is to find public domain stuff. Go on the internet, publicdomainarchive.com, or is it I think it's .com. Check it out, publicarchive.com, and you can find plenty of art out there that has no copyright attached, and anyone can freely use it and build upon it. So those are the main ways to find the non-copyrighted stuff. And then, of course, the number one, I'm sorry, I forgot to bring that up, is, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok are doing a really good job of working with music development companies and allowing you to use popular songs on your videos. So if you have a need to really use all the latest stuff, start creating TikToks and YouTube shorts. I am amazed, having made some myself, how much is out there for you to use. It's almost like there's not a need for issues regarding copyright anymore, because a lot of the platforms have their limited portions, of course, but they have a lot of the popular stuff that you can use. So I would focus on those four methods. Mr. Brode, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Just Dude, sorry for the off-topic post, but I kind of wanted to bring something to your attention. On mobile, I am not seeing half of the comments in your live stream. I see on PC. I will. Just Dude, thank you so much. I don't know why that is, but I will check with IT. IT is me later on figuring this stuff out by myself. Let's see. We got Dwayne James Holloway. You're doing right. Keep going. Just watching to learn more. Well, thank you so much for encouraging everyone to watch more. Awesome. We got Susie here. Susie Valentine. She's a realtor. Is YouTube audio library okay to use on Facebook, Instagram, my website? Well, the YouTube audio library is no longer. So that's one thing. But yes, things that you can get off of that library. And also, I'm going to say yes, things you can get off the sound collection from Facebook. If you go to Facebook Creator Studio, which encompasses both Facebook and Instagram, there's tons. Do you know the best part about it is the sound effects. There's a lot of great sound effects you can use. You don't even need to subscribe to a royalty-free service to get sound effects, because they're all over on the Facebook sound collection. But yes, there's nothing that says it in Facebook rules that says you can't use their royalty-free licensed music on YouTube. And I have to say, having done experiments using Facebook music on YouTube, I've never had a problem. So there's nothing that says you can't, but there's nothing that says definitively that you can. So the answer to your question is yes. All right, so we're moving on to Dezo Channel. Hi, very interesting topic. Well, Dezo, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Mr. Mineworks, one of my favorites out there. Good to see you, Mr. Mineworks. Ian, you the man. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's move on to Louis Beltran. Thank you very much for all the work you do. I always learn because you teach very clearly. Well, that is so great to hear, because that's my goal. I really like to just be common sense, kind of translate the gobbledygook of the law, or even just the social media rules themselves, because they are so crazy these days, to just easy, understandable stuff. So let's move on from the comments to talk about some specifics about some of the social media platforms. Exploring Israel talked about needing to understand YouTube. So 2 sections of YouTube copyright, obviously produced videos. YouTube is pretty open when it comes to fair use. All right. So just to give you back in the outline, We got copyright, which is protection of copyrights. We have permission to use, which is the best. That's what I would recommend. And then we have fair use. So we're in the fair use section of YouTube. And what that means is that a lot of people can use snippets, small portions of other people's content without their permission. And YouTube's not going to have a problem. Because, when we're talking about using copyrighted material, there's two people we have to comply with, or I say two people, two sets of rules, two authorities that we need to comply with. First is YouTube. Second is actual law, because even if you don't get a copyright strike on YouTube, you certainly could be sued for copyright infringement. So you have to comply with both. So YouTube copyright's fairly simple. They're fairly open. They believe in reaction as being a form of fair use, which is good. They believe to a certain extent with mix-ups and mashups, all sorts of different mixes of music being part of fair use, which is nice. So their rules are broader than common law rules that you'll find across the country. But the one exception to it is that you have to know kind of how to do it. And what you need to know is that YouTube's AI, which does the initial analysis of your copyrighted content, goes through and looks at the audio first. So if there's any way that you're going to try to incorporate some other copyrighted content on YouTube, if there's a way to mute the audio, you have a better chance of not getting a claim or not getting a strike down the line. Okay, so that's kind of basic. Next step, you can't use 30. I would say you can't use 15-second clips. I mean, YouTube is going to pick that up. They do an analysis not only with the audio, but they do a pixelation analysis where they actually analyze from their library let's say we're talking about the movie Star Wars, what the pixels are in a certain portion of the screen on Star Wars, and then they compare it to your video and they say, boom, this is copyrighted content. So what does that mean? That means that you need to transform your video content, and it needs to be quick. I recommend that video content should be no longer than 2 to 5 seconds. I believe that in 5 seconds, you can generally get your point across with other people's content. All right. I know the news has the 10-second rule, and I'm certainly aware of many other channels that do way longer than that. The reason why you don't do that is just like the reason why you don't speed for a long time on the freeway. And that is that someday you're going to get caught. And with YouTube and the other social media platforms, getting caught, a month later, a year later, 4 years later, that could really put your channel in jeopardy and put your audience in jeopardy. You could lose it. So 2 to 5 second clips, try to keep it short and concise. And then what you got to do is you got to add your component to transform it. How do you transform? You add something of yourself to what you're doing. So if you're doing a commentary in Star Wars, or you're talking about Star Wars, make sure you're giving your opinions about Star Wars and the clip that you're discussing. So if it's Luke Skywalker, swinging around the lightsaber, you need to say, "Oh boy, that looks like Taekwondo." That's probably not the best. I don't even know what that is, but like some sort of sword play that's recognized. You can give your commentary on it. I would love for you to do the commentary before and after, sometimes in between, if you could possibly do that. And again, you got to remember, you're just trying to elicit the image that you're talking about. You're not trying to have to explain you don't want to have to play the whole clip. People, in order to qualify for fair use, you don't want people tuning in to watch Luke Skywalker's scene. You want them to tune in for your opinion. So on YouTube, making sure that your commentary, your critique, your opinion, your parody, your teaching, your education, that all surrounds and is entwined in the clip you're using, whether it be audio or video. That's how you go forward with YouTube copyright. Now, there's 3 different issues that could happen with respect to copyright. One is that, there's kind of a double-sided copyright rules on YouTube. There's a community guidelines portion, and there's also just a general DMCA portion. So what that could happen is if you put the copyrighted content in it, AI determines that it is copyrighted content, then AI could flag and there could be a claim on that content. What does that mean? That means that all the money that you make in that video goes to someone else. Okay, there's no portions. Just because you used 1 second of a video and someone claimed it, the copyright holder claimed it, you lose all revenue for that video, even though you just use 1 second. That's just the rules of YouTube. All right. Second situation could be that someone doesn't like that you borrowed this content and you didn't get permission. And so they file what's called the DMCA takedown notice, and your video is taken down pending the resolution of the dispute. I can go into more detail about that dispute, but that's basically what's going on. And then the third thing is if you've got a blatant copyright violation and YouTube believes that it's blatant, they can just take the video down. They're just going to take it down. It doesn't matter. There's no rules or law that's applicable. YouTube just doesn't want it up there. So those are the three types of things that can come as, the damages or the harmful effects of using copyright on your channel. So let's move on to some comments so I can get some questions going here. We got Help Me Leon, excuse me. He says, Epidemic Sound is great. Yes, Epidemic Sound is what I use, and I do think they're great because they have the most, I would say, most current music and also the most current sound effects. Endless sound effects, not too expensive to join. Last I checked, it was $9.99 a month. And if you're doing videos like 1 or 2 a week, it actually makes sense because you could just go there and pretty much find everything. One thing you got to look at is the licensing agreement. Make sure that it's that you're comfortable with it, because I believe last I checked, they continue to own the rights to the music even if you stop subscribing. So you could get in a situation where they claim your videos later on in time if you stop subscribing. So that kind of buys you into a long subscription to epidemic.com. For me, it's probably worth it. I love the service and don't have a problem with it, but just look into that licensing. Some other, I'm thinking of MusicBed, I believe. Some other royalty-free sites don't have that same licensing. So even if you stop subscribing, you can continue to use their music and they're not going to claim your videos and take your money, which is good. Oh, I like this one. This is a great one. Dave Rayner says, what if the owner of a piece of music or whatever doesn't have a clear owner? Whoa, doesn't have a clear one. Well, that doesn't exist. It's kind of like, what if you don't have a mom? Yeah, maybe your mom's not present, but you had a mom. There is an owner of any copyrighted work unless it's fallen into the public domain. And the best way you can do it, the best way I've found, is to go do some internet searches on Google, on DuckDuckGo, on Harry Fox Agency. Go to some of these websites to find and trace down the copyright owner. And then be able to contact them. Oftentimes they just have a website or they have an email address, and that's just the best way. I know it sounds so lame. There should be like some sort of universal service where it would be so neat if copyright.gov had a service where, like, when you get the registered copyright, then people have access to contact you anonymously. So it's not like your normal email address, but then ask you to license your stuff and then to pay you money. Wouldn't that be a great service? So that once you register, it would encourage you to register, and then secondarily, you make money on the backside. So yeah, that's the only way to do it. You're really trying to seek permission. It's to do some research online to find that copyright owner or multiple owners, because that often happens too, to be able to contact them and directly and ask for permission. I always talk about the fact that when you are contacting someone about anything that you want them to do for you, just remember, you're contacting them to have them do something for you. So you have to lead with value. So you have to say, listen, I love your music. I want to get it out there. And I have an audience of. I'd like to get them familiar with your work. Can I borrow 5 seconds of this for $5 or something, whatever. But again, lead with value. Don't just say, hey, man, can I use your video? People are like either going to ignore it or they're going to be turned off by it. So just lead with value. If you're contacting copyright owners about permission, you'll have more success. All right. This is always the problem with StreamYard. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to get to it. We got Trent the Hedgehog 1671. Do you remember the last time when I mentioned about getting a copyright strike for playing a hip hop, rap, etc.? When playing a GTA 5, even though the music was played from the game itself? I do remember that, Trent the Hedgehog. Could you do you have a question about it, or are you just saying be careful with copyrighted content on video games? Absolutely. Most video games these days, at least the current ones like GTA 5 and certainly Fortnite and some of the other ones, have explicit streaming policies on their website. So if you're ever concerned, like, oh, I really want to become a gamer, a game streamer, a game player, and I want to, do Twitch and I want to do YouTube, totally fine. Just go to the streaming policy, type in streaming policy and the name of the game that you want to play, and you will find their streaming policies. And some games allow any of the in-game music to be streamed along and to put on your live streams or on your produced videos. Some don't. I'm thinking about Cyberpunk has, I'm just going to estimate, I think it's 18 songs which are streamable and 8 which are not. I don't, correct me if I don't play the game, so let me know. But they have actual, policies on what can be streamed and what could not be streamed. So yeah, you have to be careful, especially with some of the video games. Like I'm thinking GTA, where they actually have really popular music that's playing. You have to know that you're going to get slammed, and it differs by platform. Whereas YouTube and Twitch may allow it because they're more, it's more often that they have gameplays on their sites. You throw that on LinkedIn for whatever reason, maybe you're trying to sell people on your service or something, and then you're going to get a copyright strike. So that's the basics of gameplay copyright music. We got Leo Sketches. Ian, I'm wondering, how does the disclaimers about affiliate links really protect the creators? Okay, so we're moving on. We're switching over to disclaimers and affiliate links real quick. So just a real brief primer on this. If you're in America and if you're in other countries that are similar to America, there are agencies out there that want to protect the consumer. All right. They don't want me coming on and, maybe wearing this blue shirt and somehow communicating to you that you should buy this blue shirt without disclosing that there's a relationship between me and the blue shirt manufacturer. They just want us to be honest on the air. So when we are being paid or we're giving some sort of compensation for selling something, a service or a product, we've got to disclose it. So YouTube makes it fairly easy. There's actually a box on the upload where you can click and say, this is a promotional video. That helps. I always advise you take it a step further. And one is be clear and unambiguous on the video and just say, like in this case, hi, I'm Ian. And by the way, I'm being paid to tell you about this blue shirt. Or hi, I got this blue shirt for free and from this manufacturer. And so I'm going to tell you about this blue shirt. Just be honest. And there's two reasons why. One is it complies with FTC rules. And then secondarily, it just helps it's better for your channel to just be absolutely transparent, honest. This is what's up. Everyone knows that people have got, especially in this day and age, have got to figure out ways to make money. And it's completely acceptable for one of the channels that you like to be able to sell sunglasses or sell t-shirts. It's okay. They got to pay for the camera and the lights that are being used for their live streams and their videos. So that is that. So when you say right here, Leo Sketches says how the disclaimers really protect creators. They protect creators from getting fines and lawsuits from the FTC. And they also protect the creators from losing their audience because their audience thinks they're sellouts. The worst thing you can see are people that are just, shameless product promotion without disclosure. I love, what is this? Hydro Flask. I love my Hydro Flask coffee. I like the word Hydro Flask. I hope you like it too. So we're going to talk about more copyright. Look at my camera. I cannot focus on it. It's only focusing on eyes today. All right, there we go. So that's how it protects creators. And I say doing a disclaimer in your description section, being open and honest on your video. If you want to, you can do a little slider at the bottom and just say, this is a promotional video. Certainly click the box if you're doing a YouTube video. But then if you're in, you can do YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored in the post itself. Don't put it in people's face, but just be honest and transparent that you're selling a service or a product in your video. That's how it protects creators. Okay, we got Just Dude. Oh, a tip for those watching: the YouTube music library might be copyright free on YouTube, but it is not copyright free on Facebook. Yeah, I've not. Just Dude, you're mostly right. Whenever I've ever had a comment from you, I've checked it, and it's always right, frankly. So that may be true. I've never encountered that situation. Use of old YouTube royalty-free songs on Facebook, I haven't seen claims, but Just Dude may have it right. We got Luis. He's from Colombia. Thank you so much for joining us, Luis. I'm estimating it's probably 4 hours time difference, something like that. Let me know in the comments. But thanks for joining us. Yeah. Oh yeah. This was Leo Sketches moves into another part of copyright, which is background music, and I get so many questions about background music, especially. Whoops. Dean Reynolds. Good to see you there, man. Background music because of vloggers. And vlogging was so great in 2013, 2000, probably like 4 years there, and then it kind of went down, and now it's back. People love being out on the street, in a living room, not all fancy and polished. All right, so when you're in public, then you face problems, and you'll see in one of my first videos on fair use and copyright, maybe the first, I'm at a festival and I'm dancing around and I'm shooting a video, and in the background is copyrighted music, and I explain about background music. So again, we talked about this before. When we're dealing with copyright on social media, 2 sets of rules. We have your country's rules and we have the platform's rules. If for most countries, background music is called incidental, and usually you can't get a copyright infringement lawsuit as a result of it. The judge will throw it out. Unless it's egregious. I mean, unless it's like you have a whole album of the Eagles playing in the background of your video, it will be determined incidental, and there won't be much of a claim to be made. However, what ends up happening is incidental is more significant when you move to social media, because it's not humans that are doing the initial analysis of your use of copyrighted music. It's AI. So they don't understand that it's incidental. They just think it's music that's turned down a little bit. And the AI is so sensitive these days that it will pick up your background music. So what does that mean for you? That means that if you're doing vlogging, you don't want to go to parks where there's parties and music blaring. You got to be careful when you're at the beach and there's music blaring. You got to certainly be careful if you're at a house party or something like that. Whenever there's music playing in the background, you just want to stay away from it, because YouTube is super sensitive. Super sensitive. I've had situations where there's been karaoke playing in the background at a low volume and it gets a claim. All right. And you don't, especially some of you larger creators who make a lot of money for your videos. That's a major loss. You have a great, a million viewed video, and then you lose the revenue for that. You got to keep it up. So that's the general rules. So what does that mean? You can replace background music in the YouTube editor. There's no other platform that you can replace it. There's certain things you can do, which I see a lot of my friend creators, Casey Stern, a lot of those we're using lavalier mics with little puffy things on them, which have the effect of really just taking in your voice and not so much the background music. So I advise a lot of vloggers, if you're going into city streets, if you're going into places that are unpredictable with the music, use a lavalier, connect it to your phone, connect it to your camera directly. That's a good way to not have it. The whole cool Casey Neistat way of having the big shotgun mic on top of the camera and walking around, that's fine. There's definitely good sound that comes from it, but the problem is it does capture everything around it. So when I'm doing my vlog videos, I'm always using a lavalier, because I found that unless it's just like in a quiet section of the forest, it's very difficult to get that background out. If YouTube AI or one of the other platforms like Facebook or Instagram pick up the background music, they will flag the video. On Facebook or Instagram, oftentimes the video is immediately pulled down. There is no way to appeal because it's copyrighted music without permission. If it's on YouTube, you can appeal, and I've seen that appeal go through. I myself did that. I had a background music in one of my videos. I appealed it. I got it out. So they do honor this incidental concept, but the bottom line is you just don't want to deal with it. So if you are a vlogger, if you're going to public spaces, try to avoid having copyrighted music in the background. That is that. Let's see. All right. So Susie's saying, I think I'll use Epidemic Sounds in Footy, but I already have about 30 videos on Facebook. I want to make sure it's okay to keep up. Yeah, I'm sure it is, especially if you're using Epidemic Sound. Let's see. We've got Connor coming. Connor, welcome. I believe copyright laws should be a thing, but it needs to be made easier to understand and easier to be able to use copyrighted music legally when creating content or streaming. Well, Connor, I am in solid agreement with you. Having been a lawyer for over 20 years and representing media companies, and having worked in the courts with intellectual property laws, I think it's absolutely crazy. Now, to give you some little background, being a lawyer, especially in America, our laws stem from English common law, and laws are slow to change. I absolutely get it. So laws are moving very slowly as far as their changes, and technology is moving very fast. We've come to a place in our society, especially with social media, where the laws don't even make sense as applied with the current media culture. So yes, that's exactly true. YouTube, certainly Facebook, TikTok are doing their best to try to create their own little framework for us to follow. But I always let people know that you always have to be concerned about the law too, because there are large, companies out there that could bring lawsuits against you. So what do we do as a society as far as trying to change the laws and making it easier? And the only thing I can say is that this is something that I vocalized to my local, congressmen, people in the federal government that can make a change, so that we can echo this concern, which is that it's unworkable the way it is right now. There's been several videos on YouTube about how unworkable the copyright system is. And so my job is really to just help you guys be that kind of that filter or that funnel from all the BS that's out there, the laws and the rules, and then just tell you what is the nitty gritty. So I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm also going to continue to urge the legislators to make changes to the laws so we can make it easier. One of the fundamental problems with copyright now is that most of the platforms kind of speak out of both sides of their mouth. Our current culture was started as a result of fair use, I would argue, which is, meme culture. We started this whole process of the fun part of the internet by taking other people's images or their video and making fun of it. All right. So it's kind of the genie's out of the bottle. And so we need to recognize that and understand that, it's not going away soon, and that there should be some sort of means to be able to honor the rights of the copyright holders as well as the people that want to use the content. There should be a universal system that allows the copyright holders to get some sort of pay, almost like Spotify. They changed the system in about 3 or 4 years. Now artists get streaming revenues. It's kind of the same thing that should be converted into other content, video, audio, and image content. Question from Generic. If you are a part-time resident in 2 states and you want to put your YouTube channel in an LLC, does it matter which state you form an LLC in? Well, Generic, thank you so much for the question. Appreciate you watching the show. And so we move on from the copyright area. We're now talking about business entities, and I'm happy to talk about those because I've formed a lot of them. I have a lot of them for myself. I have a business entity that owns the YouTube channel and my social media properties. So the best answer to that question as quickly and concisely as possible is you need to speak to your CPA or get a CPA, all right? Especially in this day and age, taxes are going up. I just don't think there's a way to avoid it. And I don't care if you live in Australia or America or any other country, taxes are going up. So you got to find the place in the world that has the least amount of taxes. And if you live in America, that's an easy thing to do because you can form a corporation in any of the states, So a lot of people have Delaware corporations. I have a Nevada corporation because my CPA advised that that's the best way for me to be able to limit my tax exposure going forward. So that's the number one answer to your question. I will say that some of the states have really favorable laws like Florida and Nevada and Texas and Arizona. So keep that in mind. And then I'd also ask you to just suspend the disbelief a little bit because it was a mental block of mine. For the long time, I was like, oh, I'm never going to do a foreign corporation, or an international corporation. That seems crazy. I'm not going to do that. Then I read up on it, and it's not too hard to do. I think there's services out there that can form your Cook Island or Cayman Islands corporation for $1,500 or something. I mean, it's expensive, but it's worth it if you're forming a business. And then you have a lot of different benefits with foreign corporations. You have some things some hurdles you got to do, but at the same time, if you ever get in a situation where debts are owed or there's a lawsuit, some of those places have really favorable laws that protect your business. So that's the answer to the question. I would talk to my CPA about the most favorable state for your LLC in America. And then I would also say, hey, do you have any connections to international CPAs? I'd like to get some advice on maybe I would form a Mexican corporation or whatever. Canadian, no, probably not a Canadian corporation. You don't want to do that. So that's the best advice. And that's what I've done. And I think that works the best. So talk to that CPA. That's the number one on that one. We got Dezo. Hey, hi, Ian. I'd like to thank you because I have been using fair use since you uploaded about fair use. It really helps. Well, Dezo, thank you so much. My goal way back when, 2019, I think it was, I had a mentor to say, you know what? There's just a need out there for advice on fair use and how it applies to social media. Maybe you should make a video about it. And I made a video about it, and I tried to be as clear as possible. And I think I helped some people. So thank you, Dezo. I'm really happy about that. Oh, here we go. Mark M. Good to see you, Mark. What about video game copyrights? That's a really good question. Video game copyrights, it stems in a kind of a broad discussion. I've made at least 3 to 4 videos on my channel if you want to learn more about the details of copyrights, because a video game is unique. It has so many different copyrights. You know, it has the copyrights in the code and the characters and the graphics, and of course in the music. So when you ask, what about video game copyright? My mind kicks me to a number of different places. If we're focusing on the subject of this video, which is more music copyright, then just remember that the best way to figure out about whether or not you can stream copyrighted content on your video game is to go to the video game website itself, search streaming policies. Most of the most current video games have very easy to follow. I look at Cyberpunk's. It's the coolest copyright policy ever. And I don't just mean the rights that it gives. It's actually written in very plain sense language. It's very easy to follow. That's the best way to do it. And then just follow the guidelines. And it's cool. Some of the video games make it easy. You can just turn off copyrighted music. So if it ever veered into a scene with copyrighted music, sometimes they just put in royalty-free stuff, or sometimes it's just muted for you to add your own royalty-free stuff. So that's that. If you have more specific questions about video game copyright, like copyright coding and graphics and characters and things like that, let me know in the comments. Yeah, Byron, I got an email from you, and I'm really sorry for what you're going through. I really am. It says here, my dispute to remove the copyright strike got rejected. A criticism and questioning video clearly under fair use got rejected. Oh, Jesus. Well, first of all, I think that's ridiculous, and I'm sorry that happened. You know, a lot of questions come to mind from that, and that is, when you were doing a criticism video, what copyrighted content did you borrow? Was it audio? Was it video? How much of it did you use? Because sometimes that is the real trigger. And then also, I want to tell you, Byron, because I want to just apologize. Social media platforms these days have gotten much more sensitive. I mean, it really used to be the area where commentary, meaning giving opinions about, talking about, was really honored and was revered content. Remember, you know, just even a year ago, the top types of content out there were reaction and children's content, even after the COPPA issues. So reaction is just pure commentary for the most part, whether it be commentary through your face or through your words. And so the scales are changing. You know, we've said it before in the live stream that certainly YouTube and you know, to a certain extent, Facebook are moving to more mainstream content, more content they can control, right? If they have a deal with NBC, they know what they're getting with NBC. Probably going to have swear words muted out or beeped out. They're probably going to have trademarks, you know, pixelated. They know, so they're not going to run into a controversy if they put it on the air. Whereas my content or your content, they can't really control. All they can do is they have an AI come through, look for the typical flags, and then hopefully it gets up. But the other part to remember is, you know, with NBC, there's something at stake for YouTube. There's probably some money changing hands. With us, if I say something that's wrong or something like that, YouTube just says, you know, I don't really care about Ian. I don't really need him to to bring in the billions. So I'll just delete that video. Frankly, I'll just delete the channel, whatever. So you have to kind of know where your position is in the whole hierarchy. In YouTube, circa 2010, 2012, you know, it was creator first. We were the only thing on YouTube because no one even understood the whole platform. And YouTube needed us so bad because they needed content. So they would pay us a limited amount. They'd give us ego validation with likes and subscriptions and all those things. And that was the trade off. You got a little bit of money, you got those ego validation in exchange for continual content. And us, okay, I want more ego gratification. So I'm going to do 3 videos a week. And YouTube's like, stoked, because that's more content for us. Now what's happening is YouTube is mainstream. Like YouTube is what I watch most of. And I think a lot of people are converting over. It's like Netflix and YouTube. And so as a result, they don't need us anymore or need us as much. We form a very small percentage of their entertainment on the platform. So, we say something that they don't like, or we use too much footage that could violate fair use rules. Beep. Claim and or strike. So I have to apologize. It's changing times. All right. We got Andrew here, Andrew Hager. Sorry I'm late. I have a sister who got into the music industry and worked for a record company in Nashville for 3 years. Wow. Is there a way she can claim copyright on her music and worked for him? Well, I think what Andrew's saying is that she worked for a record company. She may have been a lyricist or a musician, and that falls into the area of the law called work for hire. I don't know the details, but even if there's not a written agreement, when you agree to create content for another person, you are surrendering your rights generally to that copyrighted content. Now, a talented lawyer could, if there was no agreement in place, could parse this arrangement and be able to probably negotiate a settlement where there would be some copyrights withheld by the person that did the creation. But for the most part, courts are looking at situations. They say, listen, all right, Tom and Sally. Sally, you worked for Tom? Okay. Sally, you created a video for Tom? Okay. Sally, you were doing a work for hire, and therefore you cede all your copyrights to Tom. So in this situation, I don't know, Andrew, what the agreement was between your sister and the music company, but probably there was an agreement. And in that agreement, it probably said that the creations are work for hire. If you go to iancorzine.com, you're going to see licensing agreements, independent contractor agreements, creation agreements, videographer agreement, video editor agreement, all these different legal templates which have the work for hire component. Because a lot of the creators that come to me, they want to make sure. The problem, they don't want these people out there making claims later on in their life. So they want to be able to say, listen, if I hire a video editor, I want to make sure that when that video editor provides me with the finished product, that it's mine. It's not part his and part mine. So in my agreements, in the legal templates you can get on iancorzine.com, it has that component that protects you as the primary creator of the content. So I'm thinking in that situation, Andrew, that she has a difficult time making a claim. But let me know in the comments section on the side here if there's more details that I haven't considered. Maybe there was no agreement, in which case it's very possible that she has some copyrights to the content. Or maybe there was an understanding, there's a modification of the agreement after she became employed with the music company. Let me know more, because that would be interesting. I love Byron talks about transformative. He's talking about his issues on with the commentary and the copyright strike. Yes, that is the key for fair use, transformation. All right. A lot of times it's hard to make that mental, gear shift. It's hard to make that mental change when you're thinking of your content, because you're thinking about what you see a lot on YouTube or the other social media platforms. And that is people throwing in a random laugh or a joke from a popular TV show or movie. But that's not fair use. That's using someone else's credibility, status, or their comedic value to embolden your video, to make it better. What we're talking about fair use is building upon the art. Someone has created this beautiful house and has a copyright to the plans. You making a second story, you painting a different color, and then people on the street come to see the house that you built, not the original house. So that's one way to think about transformation. Wow. All right, so let's see. It says here, Andrew says, that, but there are still people who will abuse their copyright claims. That is a very big problem on YouTube and the other social media platforms, frankly. What we're seeing out there is people who, there's no copyrighted content on a video, but there's a competitor or someone that doesn't like the creator, and they'll just file a DMCA takedown notice. They'll just try to screw with them. See it all the time. I've been very successful in having those reversed and having the videos go back up. You can talk to some of the creators out there that I've worked with because it's a real problem. And I will say this, having talked to YouTube, having talked to Instagram, they know of this problem and they're doing their best. It's just that there's, millions of videos uploaded every minute in the world. Here we go, Leo Sketches. Let's see here. If I acknowledge the source of my videos or pictures I use, can that help me in any way? Yeah, it can help you. It doesn't absolve you of getting out of a copyright infringement lawsuit, but it certainly shows your intent. I always advise people to cite sources, to explain in your description section or your post where they got certain content, and I do that just to show intent. It does not absolve you. You don't get out of using a clip from Top Gun 2 by saying thank you to Paramount Pictures for this clip. No, that's not good enough. But it does show that you are trying to comply with the law. You're being grateful, and that helps if there ever was a copyright infringement lawsuit. Maybe it helps with the social media platforms, but I always encourage attribution. Kim Leeming, hi Ian, I love hear you talk about this stuff. I'm about to start my YouTube channel, and I'm absolutely terrified about copyright laws. I'm learning so much from you. Thanks so much. Well, Kim, all of us here, I'm going to speak for all of us, encourage you to start your YouTube channel, because I think that whatever YouTube becomes, having the experience on YouTube of consistently showing up and giving value to an audience on a given passion project of yours is very beneficial to you in so many different ways. You're going to meet so many people, you're going to connect with more people, and you're going to learn a life skill, because I think in the future, this is what we're doing. I don't care what it is. I mean, if it's websites in the future, if it's more apps, we don't know, but you being skilled at putting together content, knowing how to live stream, knowing how to produce content, knowing how to video edit is just going to help you. So I wholeheartedly encourage you. If there's anything I can do, or people in our community of creators can do, I wholeheartedly encourage it. One way to get some sort of help among all of us friends is to join my social media law creators Facebook group. I think we're over 1,100 strong right now. And it's just a devoted group of people that all make videos, make podcasts, make content on social media, who want to help each other, and who from time to time need advice, like specific advice, not just advice that you do on a live stream, or they can include screenshots or documents, and we can kind of go through it. So just go to Facebook and search social media law creators. You'll find that Facebook group, and I'd love for you to join. It'll help you on your journey of creating for YouTube, and I would encourage you the other channels, and that means all of them. That means Rumble, that means Instagram, that means Telegram, certainly TikTok. So view this as a video making or audio making process, not I'm a YouTuber. You're a video creator. Hi, Tasteless Diva. Let me take a sip here. Someone who didn't own a video I posted claimed the last 20 seconds. I removed the 20 seconds, and now I can monetize it. Is this a scam going on over the internet? It's not a scam for any of the other platforms. It's only for YouTube, because YouTube allows you to even do that, which is actually kind of nice. That's one thing I will say YouTube is doing a good job of, is they have really tried to do a good job of allowing us to cut out portions that's claimed so that we can remonetize. That doesn't happen anywhere else. For the most part, the video is taken down. I mean, Facebook and Instagram right now, they either are super loose, or they are taking down the video or the channel, period. They just don't care. TikTok is super loose too, for the most part. I haven't seen problems there. But most people aren't monetized, on TikTok, so you don't really have that issue. But first of all, Tasteless Diva, I'm glad you can monetize it, and it makes me feel good that actually the system is working. Hey, Nate the lawyer. Morning, all. Learning with Ian. Nate, thank you so much for joining us. Nate's channel is one of the best on YouTube. The Nate the lawyer. He is, gosh, what would I say? One of the most plain-spoken lawyers I've ever met. I luckily I was able to do a podcast with him and a show at one point with him. And I will say that if you guys want to learn more about kind of like the real, the authentic part of today's current events, go to the Nate the Lawyer channel. I would highly recommend it. Background in law enforcement, so he knows about those issues and those laws that face our law enforcement now. Background and just understanding what's going on really on the streets in New York, and understands this stuff. So again, one more time, Nate the lawyer, please subscribe to his channel. Highly recommend his content. Amazing. Welcome to Tiffany's. I use Epidemic Sound and love it. That is concerning to me that they could claim later if you stop subscribing at some point. I know it is. So check it out, Tiffany. The last time I reviewed their policy was, I want to say 7 months ago. I'll review it again. I don't know if it's changed for marketing reasons, but yeah, I just Google Epidemic or go into their About Us or their terms of service and try to find that portion. And if you can't, just email me at info@iancorzine.com, info@iancorzine.com. That's my business email address, and I can send you the link to the terms of service. Maybe even just point out for you what the licensing policy is, because yeah. Listen, you got to know it, right? Like I know it, and I'm going to continue to use Epidemic Sound. But a lot of you are like, dude, I may want to use these things on my website, on Bimbop, the next social media platform that gets popular out there. I don't want to be locked into Epidemic for the rest of my life. So I totally get it. Again, if you need to contact me, it's info@iancorzine.com. All right. Doc Jones 92. I wonder if you were born in 1992. That's probably what it is. Hey man, the other day I tried removing the vocals from the song Hey Jude, one of my favorite songs. Awesome. From the album with the same name and filtered into an instrumental, but YouTube detected it. How is that possible? And filtered. Oh, well, it's so funny. I just turned into one of those, like when doctors have a bad bedside manner, they're like, yeah, you're dying of cancer. I got to go. I felt the same situation here. Like I was going to be callous to Doc Jones. Doc, I have to say that YouTube, I mean, their algorithm is reading what I'm saying right now. The computer systems are listening to my words in real time, understanding them, and then making a decision on monetization as we speak. My last live stream on Saturday was demonetized for a short period. I think it was because we were talking about some of those policies that have to do with this unnamed sickness that is existing in this world. And so, yes, YouTube's AI can sense if I whistle, and I'm not even going to do it, but I'll make na 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 na. All right, so that's not the tune, but if I did it in the way the Beatles did it, YouTube would probably pick that up and there would be a claim. So yeah, AI is amazing. AI not only can analyze actual instrumentals when you cut vocals, they can determine if you remake the song. Like I said, they can determine. Mr. Beast made a video where they sang Bon Jovi. I want to say Dead or Alive. I think that was the song. They sang it or hummed it on their video. Claim. Mr. Beast. For him, that's a lot of money. And it was eventually overturned, I'm sure, because they didn't want to piss him off. But yeah, so that's why you got to be so careful, and especially the covers, you got to be careful. Which brings me to, we're getting close to the end, but I want to talk about how to properly upload copyrighted content to your YouTube channel, to Instagram or whatever. The best way and the new rules that they're coming out with for YouTube today is the upload process. To me, it's kind of lame because it's kind of like submitting your paper for a grade, getting the grade, and then submitting it again. It's like if you submit your paper to the teacher and he gives you a C and you go, okay, that's not good enough for me. I want an A. And you submit it again, he's already biased toward having given you a C. So it's a little bit like that. Maybe that's a crazy analogy, but so how it happens now. So for cover people that come to me, they just say this is the process. They create their cover. They look at other covers on YouTube. They do a search and figure out what is on YouTube now that is not getting taken down. And then they can make a cover of that because they know there's a better chance that they could cover that song and still stay up on YouTube. Once they do that, I advise them to change the arrangement substantially, which is good for not only their clients, or not their clients, their fans, but also for the YouTube algorithm. And then what we do is we do an unlisted upload. We go through the copyright checks process. If it comes out clean, then generally we know that song can be uploaded to YouTube and not have a copyright problem. But I always advise them that don't get too wed to the music that you upload, whether it be a cover or otherwise, because YouTube, it's not like YouTube guarantees you that if it passes the initial copyright checks on the upload, that you're good, you're golden. It's going to be up on YouTube for decades to come. No, that content can still get a claim. That content can still get a strike later on in time. So if you make that awesome Phil Collins cover, all right, and it goes through, you upload it and it goes through the checks, it's fine. Oh my gosh, you got a green dollar sign. I'm good. You may be good for now. Just enjoy the ride as you make your monetization, but realize that a month from now, 8 months from now, 4 years from now, that could result in a copyright strike or a copyright claim. So that's cool. Don't get lose sleep over it. Just understand that you can't be too attached to your content. It may have to be taken down to avoid a claim or a copyright strike. All right. Thank you, Nate. That is very, you know what? Nate makes a point. Listen, I go to a lawyer whenever there's an issue with estate planning. I mean, we all are specialist lawyers. And so thank you, Nate. I know we've talked about business and various social media issues on his channel. So thank you so much for relying on me. I'm happy to help you whenever you need help. Just want to give a hi to 2CBN TV. Don't know where that's from. Can I see it right here? I don't see it. Let me know where 2CBN TV is. Kim, Leo. Oh, her comment is directed to Leo Sketches. But I want to talk about it. Starting a channel about how to use humor to get through life. Also, lots of stuff about animals. What will make it different is that I'll be including 3D animations with videos of me. I love it. That sounds like an absolutely great idea. And it sounds like an absolutely great thing for social media right now. What are the 4 things that are popping? Novel, to do, or not to do, how to, funny, and then what I call infuriating. Those are the 4 types of content that you should figure out where you fit in, because that's really the only kind of content that's popping right now. I mean, unless you're a superstar. So you got novel being, an exploding garbage can, an alligator on the side of the road. Funny is always good. If you're a humorous person, you're always it's like you have currency guaranteed in the bank. If you're funny, throw that on there. How to, I'm in the how to bucket. I want to give value in the form of information. So that's good. And then what I call infuriating, fear-based content. You'll see a lot of that on that. It could also be grouped with get rich quick stuff. Though that type of content is always out there. Gosh, what is happening to the world? Got to check in. You can get rich if you buy this altcoin. That stuff is always going to work. So those 4 categories are where you want to focus your YouTube channel or any of your content, frankly, whether it be on serious LinkedIn, whether it be on that new site Polywork, which I just joined recently, which is kind of an alternative to LinkedIn. All right. Let's see, a couple more here because I got to take my daughter. Okay. Oh, we got Andrew here again. What if you're doing a cover of a copyrighted song? Would it be covered by fair use? The answer, because you guys like to just have one more answer, it's no, it's not covered by fair use. But there are ways to get your covers on YouTube and other social media platforms. One way we talked about before, so just go back to the live stream and watch that part again. The other is watch my video. I made a video all about covers on social media and how to get them on. Just go to my channel, Ian Corzine on YouTube. Frankly, you can go to Instagram, Ian Corzine. I think that video, we made a small one for IGTV. So if you're an Instagram person, do that. Uh, Anthony Goodley says, so when I live stream, I play Epidemic music and I link it with my affiliate link. I suppose I should disclose I get a free month if they pay for the subscription. Yeah, Anthony, that would be actually a very good thing to do. I think not so much because the FTC is going to come knocking on your door. It seems like a fairly small, innocuous violation, so to speak. But just be honest with your audience. They don't care. They got to pay their bills too. So I would just be honest about it. I don't know that I have to market a promotional video, but I just hashtag sponsored on the bottom on the description section. Say thank you very much, Epidemic. I recommend Epidemic. Here is my affiliate link. Then the bottom hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, whatever you choose on the post or the description section. You're good. You're good. You're not gonna have a problem. All right. So we also have a Jay, the CEO. Thanks, man. You've helped my subs with music copyright issues with ministry live streaming. Well, thank you, Jay. That's awesome. I'm so happy that I've helped you with that. And I know that's ministry work is extremely, it's funny. I never knew. It's funny when you go through as a social media lawyer and you see all the different types of content out there. My God, I've had clients with vacuum content. I've had clients certainly with learning a language is one of the biggest types of content out there. I would never thought that. But then another big one is ministry content. And I never thought about it. There's so many copyright issues, whether it be reading from books, displaying books, trademarks, singing songs without permission. Those are really big issues. So yeah, if you are a person that's public, you're doing public ministries, you're doing it on a Sunday basis or whatever, feel free to reach out to me if you ever have questions. The email, of course, is info@iancorzine.com. The website is iancorzine.com. And I just want to give you a rundown of kind of what I offer in case you need more specific help, more so than live stream. First thing, if you're going into a brand deal, if you're going to do an arrangement with a creator, you know what I'm saying? You're going to do a collab. You're going to work together as a video editor and the actual star, the talent. You're going to need a photographer, whatever it is. You're going to want to have a written agreement. Please, it doesn't cost too much to make sure you guarantee your rights and protect yourself in the future. You don't want to be sued. I've sued a lot of people in my life. It's not a fun process. So what you do is if you go to iancorzine.com, you can go into the legal templates section, which is just, you scroll down a little bit, and you'll find, I think it's up to 40 different templates that they're specifically built. This is not something you can get anywhere else for social media creators. I've drafted each and every one of them myself. And what's kind of a unique part of my legal templates business is that it's not like, hey, buy my operating agreement for an LLC. And what ends up happening is you pay the money and then you get an email with a Word document and you're like, dude, I am not a lawyer and I do not know what goes in these blanks. What I've done is I created this system in which you click on the legal template. It takes you to an online form, a Google form. You enter in the essential information. So name, the other party's name, how much you're going to spend on this deal, some more questions that are important for the agreement. You click on submit. Then you get emailed a completed agreement with your answers already incorporated in the legal document itself. So it's just ready for signing. It's ready to go. It's a Word document. I mean, I've had creators say, Ian, thank you so much because I had this brand deal and I wanted to memorialize the terms with the brand. So I just got your template, entered in the information, clicked submit, got the email, forwarded that email to the brand, and then I got it done. So it's a real easy way to run your channel like a business, which is something I encourage. These days, you shouldn't have a channel without some sort of monetization in mind. AdSense is not enough. Okay, you're not, and it probably will go away at some point in time. It's unique that YouTube is the only platform that generally pays smaller channel creators, right? I mean, yes, TikTok pays creators, but you have to have millions and millions of followers. And Instagram's the same thing. They'll pay people, but it's not like what we have at YouTube. So what does that mean? One is not like the other. Probably someday YouTube's AdSense will go away. So that's okay. Just plan when you're making your channel to monetize, whether it be merch, whether it be plugins that you sell, or whether it be, I'm trying to think, what are those things? LUTs, for photographers, whatever it is, create a monetization plan. And when you do that, you're going to need some legal agreements. So get those on iancorzine.com. Again, you may need some more specific help. You may need to talk to me specifically. You may need to provide me with documents and recount the issue that you're facing. And if that's the case, just do a consult with me by going to iancorzine.com, clicking on the consult button, and then you can schedule a time with me. We'll do it on Zoom, and we'll just go through your legal issue and we'll get it solved. We'll get it feeling more comfortable so that you can sleep at night. So that's what I offer. The other thing I was going to mention to you, besides the Facebook group, is that I do have a membership on YouTube. It's kind of a unique proposition. There for a monthly fee, depends on the different level. You can join me on a monthly live stream with just you and a couple other people. You know, it's not going to be a big deal, and it's basically like a roundtable, outside general counsel. You know, this is my business. I like to speak with Ian on a monthly basis. You know, I have a couple. I usually don't need a full 45 minutes. I just have like a question or two. So join the membership. You can join by going to my channel on YouTube and clicking on the membership button and selecting your level of membership. That might be an option for you, just to be able to protect yourself. Know that I'm on the call, I'm on the ready when there's a need. And then for all you creators out there who need to support, you have questions you have, I jump in from time to time. Go to the Social Media Law for Creators Facebook group. And like I said, there's thousands of people there, and they're all there to support you. And I will support all you on that too. So those are what we're talking about for my offerings. And I'm happy to have you here. And thank you for joining me at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I know you have better things to do. So I really appreciate it. And I will see you next Saturday, maybe from Arizona, maybe not. I'm not exactly